Hello guys, I am back for the second half of the decoupaged decoupaged envelope journal. Now, I went and got some papers I thought would look good in here. Now, none of these are old papers, okay? We're just playing and learning. So I don't waste my tea stain paper. But, you know, I didn't think this would look good with tea stain paper for what I had in mind. So, yeah, so first thing you want to do when you bind a book is you usually use a template. When you're doing one signature, you do not have to, okay? That's to each their own, you know. I just take let me get a marker or something here. I just take a little marker or Sharpie, and I just kind of I eyeball it, and I just put one in the middle, and you want to do a tiny dot. You don't want to make it too crazy. And then you come down about whatever amount you think works. Okay, so right in there. When you're poking your hose, you want to poke your hose in here first, and then or you can do them all at once, but that's a little harder. You have to poke the hose in ahead of time. So let me decide. Maybe since I'm teaching you guys how to do this, we should go ahead and do it correctly. This isn't long enough. Let me find one that is. Okay. Here is, I make mine all up on, I recommend you use graph type paper. This is for a larger journal, but I'm going to show you. You get a book that you just don't care anything about, and you put your template inside. Okay, now this template is not the right size for this book, but it would be, you would cut it the exact same size as the book itself. Okay, and that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to find a paper long enough to do that. Here, let's just get one of the papers we used to design this do this whole thing. I'll find one long enough. Let's do that one. Okay, now what you're going to do is we're just going to take a piece of this and fold it in half. Okay, like that. Since we're doing one signature, it's not, you don't have to do a lot of counting and measuring and all of that. So we want this to be the length of our envelope journal. So you measure and you cut it that length. And you might want to be more exact on whatever it is you end up using. I'm just being quick. We don't have any reason. It's hard to mess it up like this, right? Okay, so I kind of already marked some holes right here. Okay, and I'm going to flip this backwards and make sure it is creased correctly. Okay, we want to make sure of that. Sorry, had to get a drink. Okay, now I want us to make our holes the same here as what we've got. So what I do is I will poke the holes inside where I want them. And since I already did these here, I'm just going to kind of make a get an idea where I wanted them. Now, when you open this back up like it's supposed to be, I turned it wrong side out to show you. Okay. So, you want to have a crease here. Then you fold it in half, okay? This is how I do mine. I fold it in half so I know where the center of the book is. And I was real close, wasn't I? So I'm going to put this as the center. You wouldn't need a dot that big. I'm doing it that big to show you so you can see. And I usually go down about 1 inch, but I may go a little less on this. And so I fold down about 1 inch and do it about like that. And do the same thing on this side. Okay? Then you decide, and so you're putting this dot down that center fold and down each fold. Now this is how I do it. A lot of people do it different than this. You do it how you feel comfortable doing it. But this is how we're going to do this one. Now, we're going to take our, we're going to get some big clips. Now, if this is a big book, a big thick book, you're going to want to use binder clips, okay? But this is real flat. And we're just going to have everything in order, make sure everything's in the upright position. You also need to write on one end what is going to be the top. That's important because you want to make sure all your holes, if you have multiple signatures, are in the right place, okay? So now we've got it like this. We're going to go right here. And we're going to, first of all, I'm telling you backwards. I do it all different ways. Whatever mood strikes me. Okay, so we're going to put this in the very center at the top. Okay. I know I've showed you guys this before, but I know we have newbies. And so then it's in there, and then you open it out, okay, and you're going to take your stylus, not your stylus, you're going to take your awl, and you're going to get in the very middle of the book, okay, and you're going to fold it and push. Now you do that because you want this to be able to go through. You should really do it on this book so you don't ruin your surface. I just poked a hole in my mat. It's not that big a deal. Okay, now you want to keep these lined up so you don't want them to move, okay? You don't want this template to move. So here we're going to go right here in this center, and so we're going to push. When I have a book that is soft, has a soft cover like this, I turn it to the side. If you're doing a big book, hardback book, you can just keep it straight. Okay, straight up and down. Now let me make sure I got all this lined up. I do. Now let's do this one. And we've got them all punched. So you can see them there. And it needs to punch on the line. I got this one a little too big, just FYI. I was using my fatter awl, and it depends on which awl you're using as to how big a hole you'll get. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to make sure everything is in place and everything's pushed up into the spine of this. You want to make sure everything is nice and snug. You put a clip on this side, then you come over to the other side, put a clip there, flip it around, do the same thing on this side. And in the meantime, the whole time, you're wanting to make sure your book pages are staying really tight, okay, and down into this area. Now, we're going to take our template that has the poke toes, and we're going to mark where the holes need to go in here. Now what you need to understand is this is going to be larger than your paper, okay, or than your book. I mean, you can do it lots of ways, but we're going to do it where it just hangs down. You just want to have an even amount on each side hanging over, okay, so that the book will be centered on, or the pages will be centered on the book. All right, so get this where you want it, and then you're going to take your pencil and you're going to go through the hole that we just, got to have a pen. This pencil is too dull. Use something with the point on it, okay? My pencil was a little on the dull side. It doesn't, you know, it's not a difficult thing to do. It just takes practice. For some reason, this hole, and I know it was the biggest hole. There we go. Let me make sure. There, it marked. Okay, and then you're going to do that to the other two spots as well. And you're just going to mark it on there. Let's make sure everything got marked. Okay, there we go. All right, so we have a dot here, okay, in the very center, here, and here. Now, you're going to thread your needle. Now, I just do this 3 times the length of the book, okay? And this is just some waxed thread, bookbinding thread that I got from Amazon. You can order kits on Amazon that are very inexpensive, less than $20. Some of them are even less than that. So we've got the holes here. We got our thread on our needle. Now we want to put that book under here, and we're going to poke these holes a little bit so that when it comes time to put them all together, it's easier. Okay. You just want to make sure it goes through. There you go. Your thread will go back through the center one more than once. So, okay, so here we go. We're going to put our book here. I'm going to go through the center to start with. This is a 3-hole spine here, and we're going to go right through here. Whoops, we're doing it upside down, Paula. I told you to be careful. You always double check, Paula. I don't think I've done that in a long, long time. Of course, I did it on today's video. That's how it works when you're on video, right, Tracy? Tracy Fox says that when you get on video, everything goes wrong. And it does a lot more than you would imagine. Okay, then you're going to go in up here to the top hole and then in through the book pages. Okay, make sure you pull all your threads out and everything's tight. You have to always watch and make sure this thread is staying inside and doesn't pull through. Okay, then you're going to go straight up to the top hole and out the back of the journal. Now, it's not always this easy, but this is simple, okay? I would say to you, this is a good way to practice if you have never done one. This is a good type book to practice. Now, you want to make sure everything is pulled tight. Now, we're going to come over here and go back up and through, up into the center of the journal. Now, the key here is you have this extra thread. You want to not go through that thread. You want to go in the hole and back up. If you go through, your needle goes through your thread, you're going to have a headache. So be very careful. If it gets like that, just undo what you did and do it again. Okay. Okay, so we have everything in there correct. Now you want to take, I took my needle off. You want one thread on each side of this. And at this point is when you want to make sure everything is tight, and look and make sure your threads are straight and tight. Okay, double check it, make sure everything's tight, and then you're going to double knot it or triple knot it. Depends on how secure you think it is. If you have a big hole and you've done it, you think your thread's going to slip through. There's different thicknesses of thread. Then you could take these off. And we've just bound a simple book. This is how you would do a traveler's notebook. Okay. You can tie this in a bow and leave it, or just trim them short, or leave them down and add beads. Okay. Now, I never cut them off until I decide what I'm going to do, okay, because things change as you go along, right? So here is our journal. Oh, this was straight. When I was laying this paper out, I noticed that the pocket, we forgot to trim the pocket. So what I did was just basically just took it and eyeballed it and trimmed it, you know, to shape it kind of like we would if we were punching something, just to give it kind of an oval shape. This is not perfect by no means. If it was a book I was going to sell, you know, I would definitely, although this is really a cute little book, and it did turn out really good. So, you never know. You may see it in my shop one of these days at a really good price. Anyway, I did the front part here with another antique paperia paper. And then I used vintage colored paper. I've got several different vintage papers that are old, that come from like the 1950s. And so they have a different feel to them. There's no tea stain in here, but just the two colors I thought looked good. And then in the center, we had to have a pretty one with butterflies. Okay, so that is how this little book turned out.